let's get started. Just start with a little bit of arm swings, shoulder rolls, and start doing some little bounces in the knees as you're doing that. I'm gonna tilt this camera down a little bit. I really want you to, I don't care if my face is, I really want you to see what I'm doing in my feet, and we'll do more of that. But we're just gonna start with some like lift up on the heels, bend in a little squat. Lift up on the heels, bend in a little squat. Your hands can be here, or they can be here. Whatever works. Just lift up on the heels, little squat. All right. All right, everyone. Come to stand. Shake out your legs for a little bit. Both sides, just kind of flinging the foot around. Feet. And bring yourself into yourself. Right hand to your beautiful heart. Left hand to your gorgeous belly. Take a couple of sighing breaths to really anchor yourself in at this time. Let every breath be a releasing of all the moments that led up to this moment. Last one, breathing full presence here. All right, hands together, balancing masculine and feminine, solar and lunar energies in the body. I bow to you, namaste, welcome, welcome. So we're gonna start with some hip circles. It's always good to have a chair nearby. You may wanna use it at different times today, or your hand can go to the wall if you need for stability. And just some big hip circles 3 times in each direction with each leg, using that head of the femur to clear out the hip socket. Today we get to work in our feet, switch sides, in our calves. We're going to do some stuff for plantar fasciitis types of symptoms at the bottom of the foot. And I just want to say a little thing about other direction, about plantar fasciitis. Okay, relax that. Do some hip swings side to side. Is that what I'm hearing is that from my folks that come in, they're like, I have plantar fasciitis because I have foot pain. But plantar fasciitis is not every kind of foot pain. So just know that. And it tends to be pain right at the sole of the foot. Sometimes it can start at the heel, feeling like you're standing on a pebble, and then it spreads into pain at the sole of the foot. So we're going to address some muscles that cause pain at the bottom of the foot. And that can lead to things like hammer toes stuff. We're going to continue with that ankle stuff, resetting the muscles of the ankles. Just keep swinging your hips. This is really warming up the low back. The low back muscle QL lifts the hip and then lifts the other one while you're stretching this one. So this is a great thing to do if you have low back pain. I know some folks in here do suffer with low back issues. So that's just one really great movement break to add into your day. All right. And then I'm going to point the camera down so that you can see my lower body completely. And you might want to have either 2 blocks nearby, like this, or your chair for your hands if you use something like this for a forward fold. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Got your things ready. I'll do it this way. And standing in front of your blocks or your chair, you're going to lift your heels up, drop them down, squat, press up to stand, squat, bring your hands to your blocks or to your chair, lift the heels, drop the butt, reach forward, up to stand. Lift the heels, drop the heels, squat, hands come down, bow in, lift the chest, lift the heels, squat all the way up to stand. So it's a squat, bow in, lift the heels, bend the knees, reach forward and up. Heel lift, squat as the heels come down, bow in, lift the heels in that bowing forward, bend the knees. And if you get confused, just do something that feels good. Heel lift, squat, bow forward, lift chest, lift heels, drop heels and butt, reach forward, and up. We're going to do that one more time. Heel lift, drop, squat, hands to the blocks or the chair, bow in, lift the chest, lift the heels, bend the knees, drop the butt, reach forward, push yourself all the way up to standing. Okay. So one of the things that I say to folks is that you do need to have some mobility to be out of pain, but you also need to be strong enough. So all the movement breaks that we do are also about building strength in a really good way in your body. So thinking about the feet and those ankles, we're going to do some toe lifts where see if I'm just going to bring this all the way down. Might as well. So here's what I want you to do. Lift and spread your toes. Spread them, spread them, spread them. Drop the toes, curl in like you're gripping. Release the foot, lift and spread the toes as much as you can. Drop the toes, squeeze and curl in, and release. One more time, lift and spread the toes. Drop the toes, squeeze, and release. And we're gonna rock side to side. And we're gonna lift those outer arches as we rock to the opposite foot. That lifting of the outer arches strengthens those muscles here that get stretched and injured when you roll your foot and sprain your ankle. And that's what leads to that ankle instability. So as you rock to the side, you're actively lifting. You can see my muscles engage there. If I weren't actively lifting, you wouldn't be able to see them, right? So just rocking side to side. It's called eversion. Lift, lift, lift. One more time to each side. Rock and lift, rock and lift. And then come to center. Another heel lift and drop, and lift and drop. I want you to come into a forward fold, however you need to be supported. That could be hands on the floor, or it could be hands up on your chair or on those blocks. And I'd like you to bring your attention to the tops of the shins. And I'd like you to start to push the tops of the shins forward, it will bend the knee, but it's not just collapsing and bending the knee. It's an actual pushing of the shins forward. You can feel that it's got energy to it. Bring your hands to the tops of the shins. Push the tops of the shins into the hands, like really strong. You're pushing back with the hands, and then relax. Push the tops of the shins into the hands, and then relax. One more time, push the tops of the shins into the hands, and then relax. Bring the fingertips back down to the floor or the blocks. Walk out your forward fold and notice like which side feels a little tighter. How does that feel? And then to come up, you're gonna drop your butt, reach your arms forward, push up out of that squat. Grab your small ball, and we're gonna roll the bottoms of the feet. You may want your chair nearby to support you, or you can just place your hand on the wall. We're gonna start with rolling the bottom of the right foot. And I'd like you to get used to that. Just drop your foot over and around that ball. This is the plantar fascia. This is often where the pain is when you have plantar fasciitis, true plantar fasciitis. And now we're just gonna roll all around the foot. Make sure you get around the balls of the toes. So just keep rolling around. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit more about what we're gonna do today. So today, we're gonna do a really quick release of the inner thighs, a little bit around the glutes. And then we're gonna get into the calves. We're going to work along that Achilles tendon. Someone wrote in the survey that they have some Achilles tendon issues. And just roll all around the bottom of the foot. Make sure you get a little bit on the heel. We're going to get real specific here in a moment. Up and down along the arches. Okay, now you're going to drop the heel to the floor. Ball is under the ball mounds of the toes, and you're just going to twist your foot side to side and play with spreading the toes and then gripping the toes. Spread and grip, spread and grip. One more time, spread and grip. And then I want you to get that ball right in the center of the bottom of the foot, right in the center. This can be a really energizing point. It's the beginning of the kidney meridian in acupuncture. So we're just going to sink the ball right into that foot. Take a deep breath. If you want more weight, you can kind of lift the other foot up or lean your weight into that side a little bit more. Ah. All right, now we're going to slide the foot forward so the ball bumps into the heel. Like it bumps right into that bone and go side to side there. That is where a bone spur often develops when the tissues here are real tight and pulled taut. And that can lead to symptoms of plantar fasciitis, but it can come from a bone spur, those tendons being too tight and stuck. I'm just going to do that for a moment. And now we're going to slide the foot back, let the toes run up the ball. Okay, so get that on there, right? So you can see the big toe and the first few toes. They're just right there on the ball. And then to get a more stretch, try to get the balls of the toes on the floor. That's the tricky part, really deeply stretching these toes. Step the left foot forward. And the more you lean forward into that left knee, the bigger the stretch that you get. And you can also add in a calf stretch at the same time. Just pulsing a few times. Get those toes up there as much as you can. Shoe karma, right? If you've been buying crappy shoes, you're going to know it right here. Now I switched and now my pinky toe and my next toe in are on the ball and I step forward and rocking in and out of that little calf stretch. All right, now I want you to come off the ball and just stand. Notice how your feet feel. Notice if there's any difference between the right leg and the left and the right foot and the left. And then what's really cool is I'd like you to check your hamstrings. I want you to come into a forward fold. Walk out your hamstrings and see, for me, that whole back of my right leg feels really different now than my left. So different, so amazing, because that tissue on the bottom of the foot, the plantar fascia, is continuous all the way up the back of the body and literally wraps around your head and ends at your eyebrows, which I know seems crazy, but that's how it works. So now we're going to switch and do some more just like general, about 30, 40 seconds, just to kind of stimulate. So part of what we're doing is activating the sensory receptors in the bottom of the foot, right? The feet have zillions of little sensory receptors. And so with using the ball, we're just giving some feedback, stimulating the nerves at the bottom of the foot, which really helps your feet to be healthy. Keep taking you where you want to go on your hikes and walks and dancing and all the things you want to do. Thank goodness for good feet. Okay. Getting that inner arch, getting that outer arch. Just circling around the heel. Just play with it. It doesn't have to be a real specific thing. Just make sure that you cover the whole foot. Okay. And then we're going to put the heel down. Ball is under the ball mounds of the toes. And we're going to go side to side on those balls of the toes, alternating between spreading the toes and squeezing them in. And spread and squeeze and spread and squeeze and spread. If you have lung issues, pay a little extra attention to the ball mound of the big toe. That's the lung point in reflexology. Ball mound of the big toe is really good for lung stuff. All right, now we're going to get the ball right in the middle of the foot, drape the foot over that, lean some weight in it. If it's too much weight, just step back, right? So you decide how much your foot curls and how much weight goes into that ball. Great. Kidney point number 1. Awesome. We're going to go up and down again. And then we're going to slide that ball so that it's pushing into the heel at the back of the foot. See how my heel is on the floor and the ball is pressing into the very front of the heel. There's a little tiny muscle here called quadratus plantae, and it is a main cause of plantar fasciitis type symptoms. And it's also a cause of bone spurs in the heel. So keep that happy and healthy. All right. And then now we're going to stretch our toes. So we're going to slide that ball back, get the big toe and the second toe, maybe the third toe up on the ball. Step the right foot forward now, and then you can bend and straighten. Just a few times. And then we're going to slide the others. Slide it over, get those other toes up on there, little toe. Toe next to it. Woo. The little toes always get me. Yeah. One more. All right, we're going to move off that ball. Just put it off to the side. Come to stand on 2 feet. Notice how you feel. How's your body feeling? Wiggle your toes a little bit. And then let's go back into that forward fold and see how the hamstrings are feeling. Bend the knees, bring your hands or your fingertips down to the floor or your blocks. Walk out your standing forward fold. Hands could be, of course, on your chair. However lifted you need to be. Walk it out. Yeah. And then we're going to make our way down to the floor. I'm going to do that through a little downward facing dog. So I'm going to step my feet back, come into a downward dog, and lower the knees and down to the floor. All right, here we are again together. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I love, excuse me, I love the foot stuff. Okay, so, excuse me, where we're headed now is we're going to do a quick release of the inner thighs. Because really, if you're standing with your weight more on one leg than the other, one of the things that it can do over time is cause you to have ankle problems because the tissues aren't designed to be all toward one side. So you could even have calf issues, knee issues, ankle problems with that weight being pulled to one side. So we're always trying to stand in center. And then those inner thighs, they're going to remember. So the inner thighs on that side, let's say you stand with your weight on the left, those inner thighs are going to keep wanting to draw you back. It's really beneficial to do a little bit of inner thigh work every day. Seriously, every day. So such a good, especially if you're a leg crosser. Okay. And who isn't, right? So I'm going to show you really quick. We're going to spend like 1 minute on each side. We're going to spend a couple minutes on the glutes on each side. Okay, maybe 2 minutes on each side. And then we're going to work specifically in the calves. So I'm going to use the firmer ball because I know that my body can tolerate that well. Pick whichever ball, the firmer ball, one of the larger ones is best. Get the firmer ball or the soft blue ball. Get down on your side. You can always support under your head with a blanket or something. And then remember, when you want less pressure, you just stay back and leaned back away from that ball. The more pressure that you want, the more you turn your body toward your belly and even lifting up that other hip is going to put more pressure, drive more pressure into that ball. So we're just going to spend a moment here going up and down, starting around the middle and making the way up. And then we're going to move that ball way up so that it bumps into the pelvis. I love this one. So when you're working those inner thighs, a lot of the trigger points are up very close to the pelvis. Some of those adductor inner thigh muscles hold their tension right up near the pelvis, just an inch or two down, maybe 3. And so you'll notice as you get higher up, closer to the pelvis, it gets a little thicker because there are more layers, and it can be a little bit more tender. So I want you to find a good spot right up there near your pelvis. Choose your position. Are you going to lay down? Are you going to be up so that you can get a little bit more pressure in? I'm going to take the easy route today and lay down. Ball's right here, and it's just about an inch or so down from my pubic bone. And just relax. Let the ball sink in. Relax your jaw, a couple long, slow, deep breaths. This is an amazing release, very quick and super effective. Awesome. We're going to move off that ball. That's all we're doing on that side. Come to your back for a moment. Do a little wide angle in the sky. Couple lifts. Awesome. Now we're going to go right to the other side. So we're going to switch sides. I'm going to angle myself a little bit differently so you can perhaps see the ball more clearly. I'm going to get the ball right in the middle to begin, right halfway between the pelvis and the knee. That's gracilis. I'm just rocking and gliding. Okay, get that ball up in there. I like to do this where I put the ball in and slide the knee up and down like that, as if I'm drawing the knee toward the chest and then pushing it away. And you can feel it go clunk, clunk over the tissues there, kind of separating the tissues. We're going to get up closer to the pelvis now. Do a little bit of rocking side to side. So the ball is sliding up to the pelvis and back down and away, and up to the pelvis and back down and away. And then find a highlight. Find a special spot. Oh, there's one for me right there. And see if you can relax into that position. Couple more breaths. Always in your belly for your breathing as much as possible. Awesome. Come back to your back. Put your things off to the side. Back to your back. Do a little wide angle and lift. Get away from the wall. Wide angle and lift. Wide angle and lift. Bring the feet down to the floor. Windshield wipers 3 times. 2, 2, and 3, and 3. Knees up to center. Hug knees toward the shoulders. Curl up. And now we're going to go into around the glutes. I recommend you use the soft ball. And I'm going to remind you that We're just going to circle all around, and then we're going to get on that top rim of the pelvis specifically for gluteus medius. Super quick glute release. So we're going to get down in the ball, circle the butt around. It's always a crowd pleaser, the glute rolling. Because we store a lot of tension and we tend to clench. I see a lot of folks, and myself included, tend to clench a little bit in the butt. So moving the ball around. Remember, if you bump up to this sacrum in the middle and then slide across out to the femur and the hip joint and back, you're traveling along the course or the path of the piriformis. And let's get the ball. I want my ball's at my left side. So I'm gonna scoop my butt to the right, get the ball right to the back of that hip joint where it's bumping up in. This is a main trigger point for piriformis. Drop the knees. You can play with pressure by the more you drop your knees on that side, the more weight it's gonna go into the ball. Find a tender spot right there at the very back of the hip joint and take a couple breaths. Rock your knees to the other side, slide the ball right up to the top rim of the pelvis, drop the knees again, and now go side to side. So the ball's on my left side, my knees are going a little bit to the left. And then letting that movement get slow. Noticing, is there any spot along this top rim of the pelvis way up high, right? I'm way up here, just below the low back, because this can cause low back pain. It can cause sacrum pain, instability of that hip. And we've been talking about that before. So now I'm just going to find one spot. For me, it's a little bit further out, kind of just above where I was before at the back of the hip joint. So I'm like kind of at the back of the hip joint, but high up on that top rim of the pelvis. Main common trigger point in gluteus medius. Couple breaths. And you could play with like waving that bottom knee. So if I'm in the left side, my left knee is the bottom knee. Just kind of wave that. Gives a little push-pull, flossing the tissue under the pressure of the ball. All right, we're about to switch sides. We have a lot to do. We're going to get into those calves, but just getting this upper above prepared so that these tissues don't continue to pull out and cause problems in the calves and the ankles and the knees. So we're going to start now, other side, and switch around. I'm going into the right side and get that ball right under the right side of the buttocks. And then begin with just swirling around. Belly breaths, circling all around the buttocks. Get down low, gluteus maximus. Right above the sitting bone, gluteus maximus. And then we want to get the ball right in the center of the buttocks so we can get along that piriformis line. So you can imagine your butt is like there's a bullseye on it. And right in the center is where you want to start that ball. So that when you go side to side, you bump into the sacrum, the middle of the sacrum, piriformis point. And if you go out to if you slide your butt left and the ball comes out, comes behind at the back of the hip joint. So you can just rock side to side. And you might notice that the two sides are really different, right? It's one of the gifts of this work, I think, is to really help you feel how your body is functional and maybe getting a little overzealous with some of its activation. Some of those muscles may be working a little too hard. And then you could get the ball right at the back of that hip joint, or feel free if the point is more at the sacrum, You could spend your time there, sink into one of those endpoints, either one, and then wave the knee. Piriformis release, which can lead to some false sciatica, piriformis syndrome. Now we're going to move off that, wiggle around. And then it's time to move the ball up now to that top rim of the pelvis. And just make sure that you're at that top rim, way up high, going side to side. And then start to notice, slow the movement down. Start to notice, is there one particular spot? And if you're not sure, just pause and sink. Sometimes you have to completely stop moving to really feel where the tension is. And that's partly why we explore all the places, so you can figure out, like, I know that my glutes tend to hold more tension toward the outside. So I can pick up that highlight, that special spot, sink in. And then we're going to move off the ball. Back to some windshield wipers. Should feel really good, like so much better. Windshield wipers, just a few times. All right. We're going to roll to our sides, do a really quick single ball. Grab your single ball, whatever color that is. We're going to put it in the side of the hip and sink. Now you can choose how deep you go, right? You can sink way in, or you can put a little more pressure in the elbow. Like, use that elbow to lift you up and out, and just let the ball be right there, right in the side of the hip, kind of like you're putting it right in the hip joint. Couple breaths. Then we're going to check the very front of the hip joint, drop that left leg across and over, start rolling toward the front. See how the pelvis comes forward, top of the pelvis comes forward, top hip moving toward the front of your body. And you can kind of just shift your angle by rocking your hips forward and back until you sink right into the spot. I found mine. TFL, remember, this can radiate pain down. It can feel like sciatica, it can feel like iliotibial band pain syndrome. We're going to go right to the other side. Get up, switch sides. Get the ball on the left side of the hip. And you choose how much you sink down. Do you drop that top leg for a little bit more pressure? Do you lower down for a little bit more pressure? Do you push up and out by pushing into that elbow to keep some of your weight off the ball? Whatever's work best for your body, you feel and check in. If it's making you grip, if it's making you go, then that's too much pressure. You want to back out a little bit. Okay, now we're going to roll toward the front, this gluteus minimus. We're going to roll toward the front. Right there. So I'm toward the front of the pelvis. I'm kind of, I'm right in, kind of like I'm in the hip joint, right? One more breath. All right, we're gonna move off the ball, and I want you to come up to sit. And we're gonna do a little flip-flop. You can lean against your couch or the wall if you want. Sit up if you can, and go flip-flop with the legs. Clearing out the hip joint, getting the internal and external rotators working, activating piriformis in a good way, activating the inner thigh adductor roll, internal rotators, and get them going. We're going to keep going for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. Feel all that energy moving through your legs. Really great, short, energizing movement practice. We're going to spend about 30 seconds under the hamstrings. So I'm using a larger ball, and I'm just kind of going side to side. I'm just trying to free them up from each other, get a little circulation in those hamstrings. Only doing it for about 30 seconds. We've got about 10 more seconds here. Just going side to side. All right. Pause, sit up tall, bow forward a little bit. Right into the second side. And I'm just putting the ball about midway down between the pelvis and the knee and going side to side. Right in that line, there's often a lot of trigger points. And this is a place where those hamstrings kind of knit together because they get real close to each other. So we're just separating those heads of the hamstrings so that they can function more efficiently. If muscles are stuck together, they can't really do a good job. Got about 10 more seconds. The hamstring tendons come down and the gastroc calf tendons come up, and they're like this. So we really, if we want to really be able to release those calves, we have to spend a few moments getting these hamstrings just at least a little more open. All right, that's it with that. Flip flop again, just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Sit up tall and bring your hands, fingertips behind you, and kind of move and walk your buttocks back. Sit up really tall, flex your feet, spread your toes a whole lot, bend the knees if you need to. Otherwise, we're just going to do a little forward fold. You want to take your whole torso with you. So the forward fold doesn't look like this. It's not a collapsing. You stay rolled to the front edge of your sitting bones and come forward. This might be your forward fold. This might be your forward fold, just working on tilting the pelvis. Or you could go down further. Maybe you grab your toes if that's accessible to you, but staying nice and long through the whole spine. Bowing into what feels good for your body. Press the heels into the floor. Press the inner thighs down to the floor to straighten those knees if that works for you. You try it, just gives you a little bit deeper stretch. And then come on up. Now I want you to start pointing and flexing your toes. I want you to become really aware of how does that work? Do your toes point the same amount? So I got both sets of toes pointing. Lift, spread, point, lift and spread. And now we're going to get the soft ball. Please use the soft ball. And just a reminder, you can always set yourself up on a blanket or a little support just so that you're not rounding a whole lot. We're going to start with the soft ball in the calf. Left side. The right leg just needs to be kind of out of the way. So that could just be over here. Could be tucked in. Could be in like a runner stretch. You choose. So using this soft ball, we're going to go deep in these calves today. Ooh, that is going to be really exciting. So my person here with Achilles tendon issues, doing a little bit of this soft rolling every single day for a little while. Now I'm going to give you all a heads up that the double ball, even though this is the softest rad roller we can get, is pretty exciting. So you might choose to put a blanket over your block when we are working with that. So working all the way down, get under that Achilles tendon and go side to side. And I want to introduce you to these muscles. This is gastrocnemius. It lifts the heel, right? The big bulb of the calf muscle. Deep to that and a little flatter is a muscle called soleus. often a culprit in plantar fasciitis types of symptoms. And I want you to notice, like really feel the calves are tender. Yeah, they're tender. They are holding your whole body all the time. And they are subject to any little variance from center in your posture. And then they have to kind of adjust and hold your body weight and propel you forward in motion. So calves, I feel, are underappreciated until they start having some problems. So I want you to find a tender spot in there. Again, you can like lean against the wall or your couch like I'm doing. Ooh, right there. So notice that my toes are, my foot is rotated a little bit out. My whole thigh is rotated a little bit outward. Here would be straight up and down. I have it rotated out a little bit so I can get the outer head of gastrocnemius. I want you to find a tender spot in there and then point and flex. Okay, now we're going to swish around. Now we're going to find a tender point in that inner gastroc. And just the way when we work in our inner hamstrings, we kind of roll that thigh in, right? Same thing. We get some uh, find a tender spot, sink in, point and flex. Ooh, And as you're doing this, like looking at your body, seeing where does that kind of bulb of the gastroc end, and then it gets flatter. And right in the center of where that bulb of the gastroc ends, the muscle continues down. Its tendon is the Achilles tendon. The tendon for the soleus muscle underneath it is the Achilles tendon. So we would need to treat both of these muscles and the muscles that do the opposite to free up Achilles issues. And to keep our ankles strong and healthy. All right, now, just do a little point and flex, feel the difference between the two sides. Let's go ahead and do the soft rolling on the right side because then we're gonna work with the rad roller for a while. So we're gonna go back to the soft ball and now we're just going side to side at first. So I can't really stress enough how important it is to be mindful of your posture at all times. And how do you hold yourself? How do you sit? How do you stand? How do you walk? How do you carry yourself? And when you stop moving and you are still and you're standing up, do you go to one side or the other? and and do you hyperextend in the knees? If you do that shin push that we did at the beginning, you can kind of make those muscles stronger so that you don't hyperextend. So I'm turning my foot to get a little bit more of that inner gastroc, two heads of the gastroc. The Achilles tendon becomes a thin little line of connective tissue that then splits those heads. So we can go right up and down that. Normally you wouldn't do any work in the back of the knee, but you can with this ball because it's soft. If you have any back of the knee issues, swelling, any of that, you can do a little bit of clearing through there because the softball is so soft that it's not going to cause any disruption in the soft tissues back there. Come back down into the gastroc. So here now I'm getting more to the outside head of that. Just play with different ways of being able to move your body. And then I'm going to find a tender spot. Bless this soft ball, right? Seriously, bless this soft ball. I don't know anyone else who uses such a soft ball as much as I do. And I really like the soft ones. The Melts people, they use some soft balls, but even they're pretty firm. Okay, finding a spot, point and flex. Mm-hmm. If you need a little more weight, you can kind of lean into it. Point and flex. So good. Ah, all right. I think we did one in the inside, but in case we missed it, finding a spot in the inner hand, gastroc, sinking down, point and flex. Yours might be up higher. All right, now we're going to go along that whole Achilles and kind of rocking side to side. You'll notice there's some tenderness right at the top of the Achilles tendon where it comes up and starts to split the calf. This will help so much with circulation in the lower body, with keeping your ankles happy, resisting arthritis developing in your feet and in your knees. So beneficial for the knees, for the calves to be happy. Partly just because that those tendons come up and anchor in with those hamstring tendons like that. All around that Achilles tendon, which comes down. This is it right here, and it comes down and attaches at the bottom of the foot. So if you do get that thing where you feel like there's a pebble that you're standing on in the bottom of the foot, like, oh, there's like almost like a hard pebble in there, that's the Achilles tendon attachment. And if you're having that, partly why that can lead to plantar fasciitis type symptoms is because some of those symptoms come from the calves and have nothing to do with your foot, which is why so many people have problems actually addressing their plantar fasciitis because they're not going to the source. And it's a tricky one. It can be tricky. Okay, let's get off that ball for a minute. We're going to sit and do some point and flex. You might notice that it's starting to get easier to point and flex. So point your toes, flex, point. So the calves point, and then these muscles along the shin at the front, tibialis anterior, and those peroneal muscles, they lift the arches, so they flex. Point comes from the calves, flex comes from the shins. Point comes from the calves, flex comes from the shins. So if you're having a problem in either direction, you need to address both sets of muscles. Okay, get ready. This is so good. This is the rad roller in the calves. Here's what we're going to do. So right here, if I lift up, you can see where those kind of bulbs of the gastroc end. And as I said, that is where the Achilles tendon begins. So we're going to go up and down along the Achilles tendon with the rad roller. And then when we get up near the top, we're going to rock side to side, because near the top, right before you get into gastrocnemius, are the main trigger points in that muscle soleus, which is a common cause of plantar fascia foot pain, sole of the foot pain, and Achilles tendon issues. So let's get this on here. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm using the block to bring that up to my Achilles. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go this way. And then we're just going to slide. And right now we're just along the sides of the Achilles. I'm not even going up high enough to get into my, those soleus points. Yeah, here we go. Let's go that whole length. What you'll notice is that as you're rolling along, as you get higher up, closer to those calf muscles, that's where it starts to get exciting, yeah? Roll down to the foot, roll up, roll down to the foot, roll up, roll down. And now we're going to get that ball right you'll feel there's probably some tender spots. So just below where those bulbs of gastroc start, and then drop your foot out and leg out to the side. And that's going to drive that one ball right there into that soleus muscle. So I'm going to show you from this direction. Get that ball under there. But maybe I'm going to show you from this direction so that you can see how I roll that foot. See, I have no pressure on this ball at all. Point and flex. Soleus. Okay, now we're going to drop to the other side, roll up and down a little bit, find the tender spot. I guarantee you there is one up in there, right? Now I'm dropping in, I'm putting the pressure on the inner ball. Oh, right there is a good spot. You might find a couple because there's a bunch of other muscles deep to gastroc and soleus here, but we're just trying to get these ones close to the top of the Achilles tendon. And this muscle, I said, also attaches through the Achilles tendon. So it also would end at the bottom of the heel. And it is a main cause, like the main cause of Achilles tendon dysfunction and pain. It can create aching and pulling feeling in the Achilles itself. All right, now we're coming back to center. Go up and down again. If you're brave, you could go into the calf a little bit. Ooh, right at the bottom of that calf. And you could keep going another day. I want you to check that out. It might be a little too much. If it's too much, you can put a blanket over the ball, and that's going to take some of that intensity out for you. Okay. I think that's enough in those calves on the right side. It doesn't take too much point and flex. Now, remember I said these muscles point. So what you might find is that your point is deeper on that side. And what you might find is that actually it feels easier to flex. Like right now I'm looking at my right toes come back toward my knee more than my left toes because I released what's pulling from the opposite direction. Let's do the Achilles work on the left side. So I'm going to shift this way so you can see it. Get the ball under the Achilles. And so see, the Achilles tendon just fits right in that space. So we start this way and we're kind of shearing along the Achilles tendon and freeing it from being stuck and bound to the soleus muscle underneath. We're hydrating the tissue. Hydration always facilitates healing. It always facilitates healing. The more dry you are, the less potential for healing because the tissues that heal, the cells that heal, travel through the fluids in your body. So that's why it's such a danger to be that sounds very dramatic. That's why it's not recommended to get dehydrated anywhere in your body because that reduces healing, reduces immune function, reduces repair, reduces communication in your body between your tissues. So we're hydrating there, stripping the edges of the Achilles from the soleus muscle below it. And then now we're looking for those special spots kind of up higher, right where those bulbs hit. And then to find the one on the outside, you just drop your foot a little rotated out. The whole thigh rotates a little bit out. And you gently rock until you find a very tender spot. And there's mine right there. You could just sink down into it. And if your arms get tired, you can come down onto your elbows. And you can point and flex here. Floss that tissue. Remember, you can put a towel over the balls if it's a towel or a blanket or something, if it's too much. And then now I'm going to come up, we're going to do that inside line. So we're going to drop the foot the other way now. Roll up slowly to find that inside point. If you have it, that's one thing, is not everyone has every point. And so you're just looking for a tender spot. Ooh, there's one right there. Couple breaths. Remember, you can lean back if you need. It's going to take some pressure out of the balls, but that might be what you're looking for right now. So we're doing this to treat Achilles tendon issues, to keep the calves healthy, to keep the ankles healthy, because these are the opposite muscles of the ones that get rolled when you roll your ankle. Oh, it's so much better. All right. Toes point up toward the sky, going up and down that Achilles a couple more times. And then check and see, do you want to get into those bulbs of the calves and explore a little bit? One place to play with is way up high, just below the knee joint, through that gastrocnemius. And you can rock your foot side to side and see if there's something there. You could always just use the blue ball until your body gets used to this work. And then you could try something a little firmer. Okay, we're going to move off the ball. Put the ball and the block off to the side. We're going to move through some point and flex again. And I want you to do some ankle rolls, other direction. And then I want you to point strongly. Oh yeah, it's great. Flex strongly, super good. Okay. So we're going to go into now working in these peroneal muscles on the side of the shin. These are the ones that get damaged when you roll and need to heal. And then we're also going to do that little one, tibialis anterior, right at the front. So we're going to start at the front. So if you're sitting down and you can do it, if you lift your toes, you can see that tendon right there. There's my tendon of the tibialis anterior, and it comes up. It's right here along that shin. So we're going to put our shin right in that space in the rad roller. So we're going to come to all fours. Drop the shin. Now, tibialis anterior is only up at the top. So it's, well, I should say it's high up along the shin, but it's a couple inches down from the knee. I actually should have this ball this way, excuse me. I mean the block. All right, so from here, get the shin dropped in between those two balls, okay? Go forward and back. And then you're going to start leaning your butt over to the right if you're on the right side. Oh, there's my point. I feel it all the way in the top of my foot. If you're having top of foot pain, someone mentioned, also in the survey. And so I'll show you from this angle. Get the shin in there and then drop your butt to that, toward that side. And that's going to drive that outer ball into the tibialis anterior. And you just kind of roll along until you find a very special spot. And there's mine. You can point and flex. One more breath here. All right. Woo, Lordy. All right, let's go ahead and do the other side while we're here. Drop the shin in between the balls. Lean your hips a little bit toward that side, and then up and down. Lean in, find that tender spot, and just spend a few breaths there. Point and flex if that feels helpful to you. It often is helpful to move the tissue through its range of motion while you're pressing a trigger point in that tissue. The stretch helps to kind of retrain and to kind of drag the connective tissue around it. The activation of the muscle helps to spread some of that tension back into tone and activate other parts of the muscle to get them working again. One more breath. Okay. We're going to take a little quick child's pose break, stretching those tops of the feet. And we're literally super quick, 2 breaths. Okay. So now we're going to need for this last part in the shins, you're going to need the softball. Or the small ball. Now you may remember last week we went down along the iliotibial band and then down along the outer shin at the wall. So if you need a break from the floor and you want to get up on the wall, go ahead and do that outer shin area along the wall. Here's a way you can do it on the floor. And just as a reminder, where you are, there's this bony nub below the knee on the very outside of the shin. This is the top of the tibia. And so we're going to go just below that and lean in. And then we're going to go a couple inches above the ankle and lean in. Those are the 2 areas where the tension gets stuck. So to do this on the floor, you put that ball on the floor and you just have that one leg bent in front of you and one leg bent back. It's called deer pose in yoga. And then you can lean in. Now you can lean back and that's less pressure. Or you can lean your body weight forward and into it for more pressure. You could stack your other leg on there. That's an extraordinary amount of pressure, but you can do those things. And I can feel this all the way down into my ankle. This trigger point tends to ache in the ankle. So if you're having an ache in the ankle, don't think it's coming from there. It might be coming from up here. And that's what's so cool about trigger points, because they really help you understand where your discomfort is coming from instead of just blindly shooting in the dark trying to roll. Because if you're rolling, or working on an area that's bothering you, it's not getting better. It's because you're not actually addressing the place where that is beginning. Okay, now I'm going to move the ball down to just a couple inches above the ankle. And you can kind of go, it's bony there. You can always put even a blanket under the ball, even underneath it, that makes it softer. So if it's a little too much, you can put a blanket under the ball. And then what I find I do is I pick up my foot and I hold it and I just move the side to side. And then you might see, is there a spot just a couple inches from that outer ankle bone that is tender? And just lean in, give your body a chance to adjust and to send all of its messages. All right, we're going to switch to the other side. So we're going to flip the legs around. We're going to find that bony nub on the outside, get just below it. Oh, so good. And I'm just leaning in here. And you can play with where the ball lands. I felt like I'm not getting a tender spot. And I know I usually have a tender spot back there. So I just moved the ball back just a little bit, back toward the back of my body. It was a little more toward the front. Scooted it back just a little bit and leaned in, and that was it. And so look at, You can just lean back if it's too much pressure. The more pressure you want, the more you lean forward. Okay. Couple of breaths. Now we're going to move the balls down just a couple inches above that ankle bone. And you could pick up your foot and roll along that. All right. And then lean in. Fantastic. So fantastic. Okay, great. And if you don't find anything, it just may be that you don't have that point. Might be beneficial to try it at the wall, different little angle. Okay. Great. Put the ball away. Come back to sitting up tall. Point, flex, and circle. Point, flex, circle the ankles. All right. And we're going to come to half child's pose. So one leg is bent down, top of the foot is in there. The other foot is forward, and we're going to lean forward, and that stretches soleus. And we're going to switch sides. And stretching the soleus. Heel stays on the floor, leaning forward. We're going to come all the way up to stand. Shake out the legs, shake out the feet. We're just going to be up for about a minute. And heel lifts. Stabilize yourself by hanging onto the wall a little bit and just kind of notice, how does that feel? Does that feel easier? Can you walk around with your heels lifted? That's a really great way to build some strength in your calves and in those ankle muscles. Do a couple hip circles. Both sides. Do a little standing forward fold. So your hands could be on your blocks or on the floor or on your chair. I'm going to show you that way to fix hyperextending knees, or at least stabilize them a little bit more. You're going to bend your knees, place your hands on tops of your shins, push the shins forward, lengthen your spine, push the shins into the hands. Really builds deep stability in the knees. Pulls out that hyperextension. Forward fold and then come down to the floor. Last little bit of time together. We're going to go now use that rad roller in the low back for a couple of moments. And that will be wonderful. So I'm going to show you how I like to do it. We're going to do a little roll up and down on the elbows. And then we're going to lay on the balls and rock our knees side to side. And that's going to be kind of our Shavasana, our end. So the spine goes in between the balls in the rad roller. You could do this all the way up your spine. And I'm going to keep my head lifted, get the balls on either side of that lumbar spine. Feet are on the floor, hands and elbows are on the floor supporting the body weight, and just going up and down. And then you can rock side to side. Just pick a spot somewhere along the way. You're going to pick a spot, and then you're going to lower yourself all the way down onto the balls on the floor. Adjust the balls as needed. These are the soft ones. This is the soft version of this tool. Rock a little side to side. One ball goes in one side, and as you drop the knees, the other ball goes into the other side. Just slowly rocking gently side to side here. The rad roller in your low back. Breathing in your belly. Sending love through your whole body, loving appreciation for this amazing, amazing body. Ah. And then we're going to roll over to one side to take the balls out. Then you're going to roll all the way through to your belly, and we're going to do one Sphinx back bend. So the elbows are on the floor underneath the shoulders. And we're just lifting in a little back bend. Now, if you have, obviously, if you have a spondylolisthesis, you're not going to be doing back bends. I believe someone here in this class has a spondylolisthesis, and I know you know not to do this already. So, all right. So you have a choice for your Shavasana. You can lay your forehead down on your hands on your belly and just be like this. This is a really beautiful way to do Shavasana, especially if you have any back problems, because it will gently open the front of the body, which is why we use those balls and such in the front of the body as we began this series. So just resting your head on your stacked hands so that your nose isn't smashing into the floor, and so that you're also not twisting your head just to one side or the other. You could bend your knees, drop your knees a little side to side, or feet a little side to side, like upside down windshield wipers. With your feet in the air, a little more rolling and pointing and flexing. Lower your feet down to the floor and just lie here for a few deep breaths. Last breath here. If you're down on your belly, make your way up to all fours. Do just a couple of cat-cows, tucking as you exhale, and tilting as you inhale. All right, and then come to sit. Okay. As you come up to sit, maybe kneeling or sitting in your chair, either one. And take a moment to again place your right hand to your heart, your left hand to your belly. Breath should be in the left hand down here. Send some loving appreciation through this magnificent human form that is a gift. And appreciating yourself for wanting to take care of your body in a good way. Hands together at heart center. Bow into your own sweet, beautiful heart. And that is it. Thank you so much for being here. I truly hope that this work has benefited you greatly. And I'm going to stick around for a few minutes and see if anyone has any questions. I also want to say that April 15th, I'm starting a 3-week series all about the shoulders. So your shoulders are going to be so ridiculously awesome after that 3-week series. We're going to do some really specific strengthening, some really specific powerful opening. We'll use all these same balls. So it's like super shoulders, strong, steady, mobile shoulders. So join us for that. That starts April 15th, and it's already up on the website now. And I'm just waiting another moment to see if anyone has any questions. Also, feel free to share that information about the Super Shoulders series with your friends, anyone that you know that has some shoulder limitation or shoulder issues. It's not going to work entirely for people with frozen shoulder. That's a really specific thing, and it's quite a mystery, frozen shoulder. If it's not true frozen shoulder and it's just a shoulder that's stuck and doesn't move well, it's going to be amazing for that. It's often hard to tell if it's true frozen shoulder or not. So that's just a thing. So let's see. Got a message came in. Thank you so much, Kat. Has been a fabulous session. Oh, good, Dina. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. And hope you'll join us again. I gotta like look between my computer and the and the camera here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Happy spring. I hope you all are able to get outside and see the flowers and enjoy the springtime. It's so beautiful. The work totally was amazing, almost like an emotional release. Oh, it is. Yes, Mindy. The thing is, it is like an emotional release because we are releasing old stories in our bodies that get stuck. Our bodies are a storehouse of all of our memories, and all of our memories and stories live in different parts of our bodies. It's a giant storage unit for our brains, really. And that is truly one of the functions of our body. So it can feel and even be an emotional release to get into the stuck places in your body and shift those. So, all right. Well, thank you again so much, everyone, for being here. Reminders, I go live every Tuesday evening on the FreeBody Facebook page and on YouTube and on Instagram. I do all those Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can log in and check that out. And I just give talks about the body or tips and tricks, but a lot of like understanding how our bodies work and what happens when they maybe don't work so as much as we want them to. So that's 7 p.m. Tuesdays on all the platforms, my YouTube channel. You can look and see we have some pre-recorded, pre-packaged online series we have an Unbind the Neck and Shoulders, and we have like the Happy Hips series is 7 classes like this that are all actually an hour and a half long. Like everything, hip flexors, extensor, all the things. It's like anything we did about the hips in this class times 7. So that's on there, the Happy Hip series, and one for the feet that's like a 2-hour long workshop. And so there's a bunch of prepackaged things there if you or family members need some really good work and classes to follow along. Those are available for purchase on the website. And of course, we sell the tools and the toolkits and all that stuff. So thanks for sharing this time with me. Thanks for sharing my work with your friends and family. It really means a lot to me. Word of mouth and spreading this work, I'm so grateful for. And I think we're done. Blessings to you all. Enjoy this beautiful day. Happy spring. And I hope to see you in a couple weeks at the Super Shoulders class starting April 15th. Bye for now.